In the quiet stillness, where breath becomes awareness, there is a simple practice passed through silent generations. It is not a promise of miracles, nor a command over fortune, but a gentle alignment of mind, intention, and the unseen flow of life. When the inner world becomes clear, the outer world begins to respond in ways once thought impossible. Take a small bowl of water and a tinge of salt. Nothing more is needed. Let the water represent the mind fluid, responsive, easily disturbed by thought and emotion. Let the salt represent intention, stable, pure, and grounded in clarity. As the salt touches the water, observe without judgment. In this moment, you are not trying to change the world, but to understand your relationship with it. Close your eyes and bring attention to your breath. With each inhale, imagine drawing in calmness and steadiness. With each exhale, release doubt, fear, and the weight of scarcity. The mind that clings to lack cannot recognize abundance, even when it stands before it. So this practice is not about attracting wealth from outside, but removing the inner noise that blocks perception. As the salt dissolves, visualize your thoughts becoming clear. Money, opportunities, and stability are not distant forces. They are patterns of energy that respond to focus and discipline. When your awareness is scattered, results scatter. When your awareness is unified, life begins to organize itself around that center. Place the bowl aside and sit in silence for a few moments. Do not rush to expect change. Real transformation is quiet, like the slow settling of dust in still water. In that stillness, resolve arises naturally to act wisely, to spend mindfully, to create value with patience, instead of desperation. Financial freedom is not only accumulation, but liberation from fear. It begins in the unseen space of thought, where intention becomes direction. When energy is aligned, effort becomes precise, and even small actions carry weight. Return to this practice whenever the mind becomes restless, not as superstition, but as remembrance of clarity, balance, and the quiet power of focused intention. Inner alignment is the foundation of financial freedom. The speech emphasizes that real abundance begins by calming and organizing the mind, not by chasing external wealth. When thoughts are clear and focused, life becomes more responsive and balanced. Financial freedom, in its deepest sense, does not begin with numbers in a bank account, but with the condition of the mind that observes those numbers. When the mind is restless, even abundance feels insufficient. And when the mind is steady, even small resources feel enough to build something meaningful. In this understanding, a simple act such as placing salt into water becomes a reflection of inner transformation, rather than a ritual for external gain. The water represents the constantly shifting flow of thoughts, emotions, and reactions that arise throughout daily life. The salt, the shaili, represents intention, discipline, and clarity, which must be steady enough to influence that flow without force or struggle. As the salt dissolves, It mirrors the process of allowing scattered thinking to settle into awareness, where confusion is replaced by understanding. In this state, one is encouraged to breathe slowly and observe without judgment, noticing how fear of lack often distorts perception. When attention is centered, the idea of scarcity begins to lose its grip, and possibilities that were previously ignored become visible. Financial stability then becomes less about chasing and more about aligning actions with clarity. Even practical decisions, such as saving, investing, or working, gain strength when they arise from a calm and focused mind. Over time, this inner discipline shapes external reality, not through magic, but through consistent awareness and wise response to life's opportunities. Salt and water symbolize intention, and the mind, the simple ritual, uses water as the flexible, emotional mind, and salt as stable intention. Their combination represents the process of grounding thoughts with clear purpose. True abundance is not created by force, but by alignment of thought, action, and awareness. When the mind is clouded by fear or constant comparison, even opportunities that are already present cannot be clearly recognized. In the simple salt and water reflection, this truth is symbolized through a quiet observation of change. The water, ever moving and sensitive, reflects how quickly human thoughts shift from hope to doubt, from confidence to anxiety. The salt, steady and grounded, represents focused intention that gives direction to this movement. As it dissolves, it shows that stability is not about resisting change, but becoming part of it with awareness. In this practice, one is encouraged to sit in silence and notice how inner tension affects perception of money, work, and future security. When the breath becomes steady, the mind slowly begins to release unnecessary pressure. In that release, clarity arises, and clarity naturally leads to better decisions. Financial freedom is then understood as a result of wise choices made consistently from a balanced state of mind. It is not sudden wealth, but gradual strengthening of discipline, patience, and understanding. Even small actions, when guided by calm awareness, carry long-term value. Over time, this inner balance reflects outwardly, shaping a life where resources are managed wisely and opportunities are recognized without fear or hesitation. Letting go of scarcity mindset is essential. Fear, doubt, and feelings of lack are described as mental blocks that prevent people from recognizing opportunities and abundance already present around them. When the mind is scattered, life feels unpredictable, as if every effort is met with resistance or delay. Yet, much of this struggle comes not from external conditions, but from internal imbalance. In the reflection of salt dissolving into water, there is a reminder that clarity is not something added from outside, but something revealed when disturbance settles. The water does not lose its nature. It simply becomes still enough to reflect truth. Likewise, human awareness does not need to be replaced, only quieted so it can see more clearly. In this quiet observation, one begins to notice how thoughts about money often carry hidden emotions of fear, urgency, or comparison. These emotions can distort decisions, leading to choices that do not support long-term stability. But when attention is brought back to breath and presence, those emotional distortions begin to lose strength. From this centered state, even ordinary planning becomes more intelligent and grounded. Financial growth is then not treated as a race, but as a steady cultivation of wise habits. Saving becomes natural, spending becomes conscious, and effort becomes purposeful. The practice encourages patience, reminding that real change is often invisible. At first, over time, this inner stability shapes outer reality, allowing life to respond with more balance, opportunities, and meaningful progress that arises without force or anxiety. Clarity of awareness shapes outcomes. When attention is scattered, results in life become scattered. When the mind is unified and focused, actions become more effective, and life begins to organize more smoothly. In the journey toward financial stability, one of the greatest obstacles is not the lack of opportunity, but the lack of inner calm required to recognize and use it wisely. The simple symbolism of salt dissolving in water serves as a reminder that transformation begins within perception. Water, constantly shifting and reacting, reflects the ordinary mind filled with daily concerns, desires, and worries. Salt, steady and defined, represents intentional awareness that gives structure to that flow. When brought together in still observation, they reveal a deeper truth. Chaos can settle when it is witnessed without resistance. As attention rests on breath and presence, the urge to react impulsively to financial stress begins to soften. This does not remove responsibility. Instead, it strengthens the ability to respond wisely rather than emotionally. From this grounded state, money is no longer seen as something to chase desperately, but as a tool to manage with care and foresight. Decisions become less about fear of loss and more about clarity of direction. Even challenges begin to appear as lessons rather than threats. Over time, this practice builds a mindset where discipline replaces anxiety and patience replaces urgency. Financial freedom then becomes a gradual unfolding of wise habits, consistent effort, and steady awareness, shaping both thought and action in harmony. True financial freedom includes peace. Not just money, wealth is not only about accumulation, but also freedom from anxiety and fear about money. The practice encourages mindful action, patience, and steady growth. Financial freedom is often misunderstood as a destination, when, in truth, it is a continuous state of awareness and refinement. The simple reflection of salt dissolving into water illustrates how change is not always dramatic, but often subtle and gradual. The water represents the ever-changing nature of human thought, influenced by emotions, circumstances, and external pressures. The salt symbolizes clarity of intention, the inner strength that gives direction to those shifting conditions. When observed quietly, the dissolving process teaches that stability is not about controlling every outcome, but about maintaining inner balance while life unfolds. As the mind rests in stillness, the tendency to react from fear or urgency begins to weaken. In that space, decisions around money, work, and future planning become more deliberate and thoughtful. Rather than chasing quick results, one begins to value consistency, patience, and responsibility. This shift in mindset slowly transforms behavior, leading to healthier financial habits and more grounded choices. Over time, this steady alignment between awareness and action builds a sense of freedom that is not dependent on external wealth alone. It is the freedom from inner turbulence, where clarity guides effort and effort produces meaningful progress. In this way, abundance is not something pursued aggressively, but something that naturally unfolds when the mind is settled, focused, and aligned with purposeful living.